Fox Noise and Sean Hannity are at it again. My colleague from the talk radio business, this is just mind-boggling. Monday night, Hannity on his program looked straight into the camera and said, Harris can't run on whether or not this country is better off than we were 4 years ago because for a very simple reason, by every measure, we are far worse off. Right. Now, this is the same guy who, by the way, when he was sued, admitted under oath in court that he was lying to his viewers for 2 years about Dominion voting machines and Trump. That he lied for 2 years and that he was talking to his colleagues, Laura Ingraham and others within Fox so-called news, pointing out the fact that they were all lying to their viewers for 2 years. And Fox ended up paying $787 million in fines for those lies. Now, that was just one little set of lies. Media Matters for America, MediaMatters.org, pretty much documents Fox lies every single day. But this one is mind-boggling. Here's Sean Hannity looking right into the camera and telling his viewers, you are worse off today than you were 4 years ago. So, I mean, this was on Monday. This is October 21st. So let's step into the Wayback Machine and go back exactly 4 years and, see what was going on. Oliver Willis, by the way, writing about this over at Daily Kos. So on that day, on Monday of this week, 4 years ago, I don't know if it was a Monday, but the U.S. death toll from COVID was 213,964, and that day, 1,051 people died from COVID. That one day. There was no cure. The Trump administration's COVID response was completely chaotic. And you would think that Hannity would remember this because he was out there pitching ivermectin and hydrochloroquine. Now, Biden and Harris took this virus seriously, unlike Trump and Hannity. And in fact, I would argue that Hannity and Fox are responsible. They've got an enormous amount of blood on their hands. They're responsible for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of dead Americans because of the way they scammed Americans around the coronavirus epidemic, the pandemic. But anyhow, during the monologue, Hannity said that crime has gone up during Biden's regime. In reality, murders are down 30%. Murders had increased nearly 30% during the last 2 years of the Trump administration, between 2019 and 2020. As did violent crime. It went up during the last 2 years of the Trump administration. Now, granted, you can probably attribute some of that to the pandemic. But under Biden and Harris, those crime rates are falling precipitously. According to the FBI, violent crime is at the lowest level since 1969. Let that sink in. The lowest level of violent crime across the United States since 1969. It hit a peak in 1991, by the way. So Hannity, again, just lying to his audience. Joblessness. He was talking about how, the economy sucks. Well, no, I'm sorry. The unemployment rate in October, on that day in October 2020, was 6.8%. Under Trump, it had hit a peak of 14.8%. Just like violent crime, it had peaked under Trump. And now violent crime is, again, down to where it was in 1969. Or joblessness, excuse me, I'm talking about joblessness. It had reached a peak of 14.8%. The current unemployment rate is 4.1%. And Joe Biden has added 15 million jobs. That's 14 million jobs more than all the jobs created during the Reagan administration, the George Herbert Walker Bush administration, the George W. Bush administration, and the Donald Trump administration combined. The last 4 Republican administrations combined created 1 million new jobs. The last 4 Democratic administrations combined have created 50 million new jobs, 15 million of them on Joe Biden's watch, the highest number of new jobs created in 4 years of any president in the history of America. On October 22nd, 2020, 4 years ago, the Dow Jones Industrial Average topped out, closed at 28,300. As Hannity was speaking, or earlier in the day before the Dow closed, it closed at 42,931. That's a 51% increase from the low during Donald Trump's presidency. If you had bought stock when Trump crashed the market, you would have seen your money double in the last 4 years. Double. 51.6%. Just buy the Dow. You don't even have to buy individual stocks. You can just buy an index fund, the Dow. And yet Sean Hannity's going on TV looking right to his viewers and saying, oh no, you're worse off today than you were 4 years ago. By any metric, yeah. This is a pattern of behavior over at Fox News. As I pointed out, Hannity, admitted in court when he was finally deposed, when he had to speak under oath, that he had been lying to his viewers for 2 years. He pushes conspiracy theories, he echoes. I just, as a person in the media, I mean, I've been doing this show 21 years. I've been, about the same, maybe longer, I'm not sure, as Sean Hannity. We've both been in this business for a lot of years, and, we've both gone to the talkers conventions in New York, and we have friends in common, people we know in common. And I just think it's so sad that a colleague of mine is so committed to lying to his viewers and his listeners. Speaking of lying, Donald Trump just told a whopper. This was last night. He was talking about his daughter Tiffany. The one that he had tried to talk Marla Maples into aborting, but Marla Maples wouldn't go along with it because, whatever. My personal theory is that she knew that, hey, having the baby of a billionaire is not a bad thing, shall we say. And Tiffany seems like a sweet kid. She graduated from law school. She's got a law degree. She graduated in 2020. But Trump can't help himself. He has to lie whenever he says pretty much anything, and or at least exaggerate. I mean, this is just like he's been a salesman his whole life. And there are those of us who think that sales is when you honestly tell people that your product will meet their needs, but then, of course, as Norma pointed out, there's a whole huge spectrum of people who think that advertising and sales is really about hustling people, and that's Trump. So what does he say? He says, she was a great student. She went to a fantastic law school, graduated #1 in her class. So the news media called up Georgetown University Law School and said, did Tiffany Trump graduate #1 in her class? And they said, no, she's not even on the honors list. And by the way, we don't rank our students. There is no #1 in the class. None. There are honors students and not honors students, and she's a not honors student, but hey, she graduated, she got a law degree. We don't know if she passed the bar. We don't know if she got a job. I mean, she's entitled to her private life. God bless her. But her dad's out there lying about her. I just can't imagine. 21 years I've been doing this show, and I've always worked to make sure that everything I say I can back up, 100%. And on the rare occasions when I get something wrong, invariably somebody will call up and set me right, and I appreciate that. But can you imagine lying for a living?